yields and better quality fruit, but the tree is still old and probably past its prime. Plant some new trees nearby and you'll have nice apples to pick in the years to come. Learn more about keeping big old apple trees productive at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com.
Today's Daily Encouragement by William the Encourager, sponsored by Ted Russell Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty on Kingston Pike.
My brothers and sisters, praise the Lord. It's Wednesday. Hey, this week is kicking on past. You better get busy. You better get on your knees and have a little talk with Jesus. Come on, let's pray, y'all. Father, thank you. Lord, we have so much to thank you for. Lord, you've brought us through another day. Lord, you kept us overnight, Lord. You kept back the enemies, Father God, and you woke us up this morning, Lord. So we thank you, Lord God, for our health and strength, our family, our loved ones, our neighbors. We thank you, Lord God, for your people. So, Father, we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen and amen. My brothers and sisters, there is a user's guide. My Dan and I was just talking about there's not a guide for life. Yes, there is. There's a user's manual, and it's spelled the Bible. That's the book for me, the Bible. Yes, so listen, there is a guide for your life. Psalms 119 and 105 says, your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light for my path. He will light your way that you might walk in the right way. Can you imagine in a very, very dark forest with two lamps, one lamp on each feet, and it just illuminates the path? If you go off the path and you can see the way to find your way back, that's God leading you. That's God's leading you. You know, the Psalms 23 says, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. What a mighty God we serve. He is our shepherd. Yes, he is our shepherd. Proverbs 6:20 and 23 says, my son, keep your father's commandments and don't forget your mother's teaching. Keep their words in mind forever, as though you had them tied around your neck. They will guide you when you walk. They will guard you when you sleep. They will speak to you when you are awake. These commands are like a lamp. This teaching is like a light, and the correction that comes from them will help you have life. God's word. You talk about you don't have a manual. God has given you a manual. Okay, if you go out and buy a new refrigerator, they are going to give you the refrigerator, but with that refrigerator is going to come an owner's manual. And it says, if that refrigerator break down, you're supposed to call 800, ... You're supposed to call that number. So our manual is the user's manual, and it's called the Bible. It tells you in Isaiah 30 and 21, and thy ear shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk in it. When you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left, walk in it, brothers and sisters. You need this user's manual, because if you follow this user's manual, you will never get lost. And if you do get lost and stray from the path, his word will guide you right back, because his word can be written on the table of your heart. But you must remember, if you get lost, There's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Roane, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into Ask Your Neighbor this morning. It is a Wednesday morning. It's the third Wednesday of the month. That means the High Sheriff has joined us here this morning. Good morning, Sheriff Barker. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous.
Good. It's a beautiful day on the outside, but you guys have been busy. We had a terrible wreck last night on 25W. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little? How much can you tell us about that?
I can just tell you what I know.
Okay.
So it was a fatality. Young man, early 20s. It was a motorcycle versus a bus. And the THP's working it because it was a fatality. They had a reconstruction team out there for about 4 or 5 hours. And early indications was speed was a factor.
Yeah. I told you that I got calls last night wondering why the Sheriff's Department couldn't work or help with some traffic, as I think it was the southbound lane the northbound lane. One of the northbound lane was completely blocked, southbound lane completely open, and people were like, can we use one of the southbound lanes to go?
Yeah, so I was actually there.
Okay.
After commission, I ran down there because family was there, and I actually know the deceased's father. And so I was down there talking to him. There was actually only one lane open going southbound. All the 2 lanes northbound at the turn lane and the passing lane southbound were all blocked because it was a pretty wide scene. And it was THP's scene. And we only get one shot at collecting the evidence, taking the measurements and things like that. So THP decided that it was best just to shut down all northbound traffic.
I just want to tell, when there's a fatality, it automatically diverts to THP, and they take control of the scene when they get there, right?
Yes.
So they decide when traffic goes and when they don't, and who goes and when they don't.
It belonged, the scene belonged to THP. Plus, there was the deceased had a lot of family and friends show up on scene. So we dealt with a lot of that and asked them to move to Weigels to congregate there. And those type of wrecks, fatalities, particularly with when a motorcycle's involved, and some fatalities with a car wreck, the deceased is in the car, right?
Yeah.
But with this one, this kid was on the street, on the highway, and we want to work pretty frantically because it's we want to work as quickly and as efficiently as possible because it was pretty tough for the family to see him laying on the pavement that long.
I can imagine. I can't imagine. No, I can't. But it's terrible.
Yeah. But like I said, early indications with speed was a factor.
Well, I tempered. I was like, there's a fatality, and I don't know, if there's any kind of help that can be done traffic-wise, but it's a fatality, and that's kind of first and foremost, period. But I know some folks got upset. But I did my best to explain it. Don't help people when they have to sit there, but at the same time, it's not like they were just doing a traffic stop or license check. It was a big deal.
Right.
It was a bad thing. So.
Yeah, it was thankfully, we were. If there was a bright side too, there were no kids on the bus.
That's good.
Because then it would have been a lot.
Yes.
However, the scene, the debris scene was pretty massive, and it was just at dusk, at dusk, and so it got dark really quick. So it was pretty chaotic scene from a collection of evidence standpoint.
Yeah, I hate that. That has to be one of the worst parts of your job, to go and deal with that, especially knowing the family. That has to be awful.
It was difficult. In this particular case, the dad actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've been told my son may have been involved in a wreck." And I was in a meeting, so I texted back and said, "They're reporting a wreck on Clinton Highway." And I said, "But I don't know the details." And then, of course, somebody posted on social media, and we did have, one of the problems we have with that too is, and it's not necessarily illegal, but it's in
just
poor taste, in the sense of, like, I saw a guy, and he actually entered technically into the scene. Right. He didn't realize it. We didn't have tape up because the one lane southbound was open, but he walked up on the shoulder and took pictures, and so I went and spoke to him and said, "Hey,
don't."
Yeah, this is his family's here. That's not good taste. He was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think of that," and he deleted them right there in front of us. So I mean, he was very apologetic. He was just, but people just,
it's curiosity.
Curiosity, and you lose sight of
the humanity of it. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's sad. It breaks my heart. I'm a motorcycle rider. I have been since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I know, hey, people don't look out for you.
We have a special guest.
Hey, Miss Cindy. Hi, dear. Thank you so much.
You coming? Joining me? Oh.
She could tell us some tales, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a terrible thing, and I hate it. But as a motorcycle rider, if you don't watch out for other people, that's the main thing. You can be the best, most experienced rider in the world, but other people don't see you all the time. And also, too, on a motorcycle, you speed, curves. My uncle asked me one time. He said, "You want to go ride the Dragon?" I said, "Nope, I don't."
I've got friends that do that.
Oh, I'll do it. Just not with my uncle at 70 miles an hour.
Right.
I'll do it. But I coast through it. You know what I mean? I don't have no worry of going over the edge.
I've only rode the Dragon once. It was in a convertible.
Well, you know what? That's fun too.
Yeah.
But I see all the time people go over the side of the road. They get hurt. They get killed. It's just bad. It's awful, especially a young man. So, prayers for his family and everything else. One thing we were talking about, this morning I happened to have the opportunity to talk with the leader of the Anderson County Republican Party, Zach Farrah, came in and was talking with us this morning.
He's doing a really good job.
He's doing a good job, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is.
He is, and I people were calling me and they were expressing frustration at Zach over some of the party's new rules or now come to light rules. And I did not think that was something that Zach had signed off on. But I, talked to him today, and it's not. And he's working with the state to try and figure out ways that folks that truly have been conservative and Republican, maybe that have voted in a Democratic primary in the past, that the state will look at them on an individual instead of a, broad brush.
So the every rule that comes down is pushed down from the state party. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are basically private organizations.
Yeah, they're like businesses.
Yeah, and you and I were just talking about off air about they started this a while back, but you have to pay a fee now to the state party if you're going to run on the ballot as a Republican. So the state comes up with these rules, and I definitely see the frustration for some people who had pulled as Republicans, and then to learn that they had voted in a Democratic primary in the last 4 election cycles, and that disqualified them according to state rules. And that was something we had never heard of. So that evidently is recently new development, and they may have not done the best job of pushing that information out.
They didn't. Yeah. So I hate that there are a lot of people that were planning to run in the Republican Party, some that deserve to, others that pulled out that don't deserve to. It's just sometimes I think we throw the baby out with the bathwater if we're not careful. So heavenly minded, you're no earthly good.
Yeah.
So, we can do better as a Republican Party. We really can.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of steam and momentum right now, and I'm afraid sometimes our party uses that momentum to do things that they wouldn't be able to do without, if Tennessee wasn't blood red, end to end, top to bottom, outside of Shelby County and Davidson County, it would be a little more difficult to do stuff like this. I hope that they will find waivers or ways around, especially with people, and I've talked about it, like Tracy Wandale. I don't think there's anybody who does a better job than Tracy. I think he's one of the good ones. I think he's conservative, and he ought to be in the party if he wants to be.
So, like, for example, with Tracy, he met the threshold to participate in the reorganization. So it's not that one way or the other, but so it was confusing when I heard that, because it was like
he already made it. Yeah.
The local party, he participated in the reorg, and then they said, well, he can't be on the ballot, and that's when I learned about the thing. It's I can tell you my experience through the Sheriff's Association when we go down and lobby for or against laws, right? And I'm afraid it's just government. I mean, it's just the way it is. But lots of times laws get passed, and it's not. I'm not talking about like the federal government where it passes it and then we'll see what's in it. We know what's in it. And they get passed at the state level, and then you spend the next 3 years tweaking it to make it more
workable.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of what we've seen here, that this change came about relatively recently, and it caught a lot of people flat-footed, and so I would imagine it. I don't think there's anything that's going to happen this cycle. But I think in the future they'll have to address that.
Well, the collateral damage, if they can't get something figured out this cycle, I think is going to be hurtful to us, really, as a party, if they can't get something worked out.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't
know either.
Yeah, I'm not talking to anybody from the state party. Like I said, I'm just listening here locally. I'm worried about my own race. So, but it's interesting to say the least, and it's something to keep an eye on. I don't know if there's and the reason I say there's not a fix, I don't anticipate a fix, because today's 18th.
Yeah, and it's tomorrow.
Deadline's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
well, I know.
I can't imagine that it's something. I mean, and even if it did, and honestly, I would guarantee you this isn't just an Anderson County issue. I'm sure it's in all 95 counties.
That's what Zach was saying this morning. It's it's statewide.
Yeah. So there's got to be lots of people out there like that.
I was talking with City Mayor Burton and City Manager Haug yesterday, and Roger told me something that I thought was interesting. He said that there is a bill on the House floor right now to limit counties to no more than a 2% tax increase each time, and I think no more than 6 and 10 years.
Yes.
I think that's what it said.
Yeah,
you heard about that?
Yeah, a little bit. There is a push about property taxes, basically, and sales. Well, there's two bills actually. One that is, and I don't know which or if both have been presented, but basically, this 2% increase is the maximum you can do, right?
Yeah.
And so if you say you skip it 1 year, you don't get to do 4 the following. It's still just 2, capped at 2.
Okay.
And then there was a group come out with a bill that talked about doing away with all property taxes. And
I like that.
It'd all be generated through sales tax. And of course, it's hair-lipped a lot of people across the state. And the impact on local government is particularly with the one that eliminates property tax altogether. Can a government function without property taxes? And it just solely on sales tax. It's an interesting concept for sure.
I don't know that you could. I don't know that we could.
Yeah.
When you look at our sales tax, unless they changed the way that sales tax are distributed, municipalities get a lot more sales tax than counties.
Well, and so then the conversations that I've had with other sheriffs as we spoke about this was Davison County, probably Shelby, these large counties, perhaps a sales tax could go, right? But when you get into the rural counties, Morgan County,
they don't have retail
or don't have any tourism. Sevier County would probably be okay because of all the tourism stuff there. And so I don't know how that would actually look.
Well, I mean, as a property owner, you're like, woo.
Yeah.
But then, in your position or in numerous
as a matter of fact, my wife sent our taxes with me today. So I'm going
you're
to the
headed down there to pay, huh?
But she said, when you get in the courthouse, stop and pay and run across the city hall.
And get that taken care of. I get it, and a lot of folks would like to save that, but I don't know how we would function and operate as we are right now.
Yeah, I don't either.
You know what? I'll tell you, if the state really wants to do some stuff and help people out, take the sales tax off groceries. That's, you know what I mean? Start there. Start with something every human being needs.
Yes.
Not every human being owns property. A lot of them live in apartments and other stuff. But again, I would love to have my property tax waived. But if you want to start, let's take all of it off all the time.
Yeah.
That would be a good start for the state in eliminating taxes.
And they know that because they do that
one day,
for when school
tax free,
back,
tax for groceries, tax free. Now I know they could do it. So, I've been talking to folks about the needs of the sheriff's department and talking to people about how they're going to try and accommodate it, what they're going to do, if they're going to take some out of the fund balance, and give a one time. And this is what you probably already know what I'm getting ready to tell you, but it seems to me that some of our commissioners are leaning toward trying to get you money now by taking it out of one-time money or taking it out of fund balance or what have you, and then go to work. But we're getting really close to budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to be that long. You just got a short window, a few months. But then go to work and try to find a way to continue that revenue stream that you need to hire people.
So at our last budget meeting, I asked them to pass it to get it up to full commission because I know once it hits full commission, we're adding 8 more commissioners, and it's going to get more convoluted, right? And it'll be and it'll open up new questions and things like that. And we're ready to do our presentation that we did for budget again. However. And the motion was made to take it out of undesignated fund balance. But honestly, it failed 4-2. It was 4 to kick it on up like that, and 2 not to. But they had to have 5, right, for it to pass. So it failed. But I felt like it was some really good conversation that night. And more importantly, I'm not even sure that I don't think they believed, even ones that voted for it, believed that taking it out of the undesignated fund balance was actually
Good idea.
Good idea. Because
it's not.
And I think they were just trying to move the ball, right? I think it was just open the conversation, because in order for it to leave budget, to get it to full commission, there has to be a funding source. And I think it was just to get it up there so the conversation could get really moving.
Okay.
And so I wasn't surprised. I was surprised we got 4 votes. Because I thought.
Well, I think that's probably the only way they're going to get it done this quick. I don't know any other way they could do it and write a check so that you can get moving on what you need to get moving on.
Well, perhaps.
Perhaps until the election's over.
Yeah, I know that plays a role in it, right?
Yes.
I think that, like I've said in budget 2 times, like I said in the workshop, I believe Anderson County has to get serious about public safety, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And I'm not complaining, because the truth of it is, Robbie gave numbers of, we've had like a 23% salary increase for our deputies and our corrections officers over I guess my administration, or maybe it was the last 4 years. Regardless, I've said this till I'm blue in the face. This is not deputies being greedy. It is market driven. Yeah. If you want people who are willing to put on a vest, bulletproof vest and a gun, and respond to emergencies and do violence on behalf of the citizens, this is what it takes. Because that's what they're paying elsewhere. My biggest concern is, and listen, I think the support and appetite's there for it. I do. I think it's there. I just think that they just don't know how to do it. And my argument is, it's not about a tax increase. I think it's about reallocation of what we already have. And part of that is no different than in our homes. And this is the example I used. If the price of groceries goes up, we go to the movies less. Mm-hmm. And it's just what we do as individual families. Gas goes up, we spend less somewhere else because we got to have fuel.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. We need to take a hard look at that. There's a lot of talk about perhaps all county employees. Well, probably so, but it's not. My position is not about affordability, right? It's market driven. If you want quality law enforcement and you want enough deputies, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to pay them, because they're leaving us for agencies that pay more. And it's more importantly, not just our numbers are dropping from that, but it's also we're not attracting the applicants that we once did.
We don't,
like in 22 when we got that new thing, man, we were overloaded, but we instantly got past the next budget cycle, right?
As soon as the other guys around us saw where we were.
Yeah. And so I talked to Sheriff Spangler this month at TSA. They are already ahead of us. And
what does Tom pay his folks?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't. But I know that he said that they're anticipating 10% pay increase for their deputies.
That's pretty.
And they're already ahead of us, So, and so the thing that I'm afraid has went over commissions that they took their eye off the ball on is this 15% isn't the magic bullet, right? It doesn't.
It's a starting
15%
line.
and 15% and we're good, right? Because we learned this in 22, right? That got us back in the game, but it's like a garden. You don't throw the seeds in the ground and then come back when the corn's there.
No, you
have to go weed it every day.
Mm-hmm.
You have to maintenance this, and that's just the world we're in now. And that's my biggest fear. And listen, it's a heavy lift, and I'm going to tell you, County Commission has been so good to the sheriff's office in my 7 years as sheriff. They've literally only told us no one time that I can think of.
Sure.
But that's also a reflection of how we've been good stewards with the money. We turn money in. We've returned in 7 years $8.5 million that has been budgeted to us. So we do not
Didn't they just say keep that? It's you're generating. Wouldn't that be an easy fix?
So perhaps, but I don't know what they do with that. I don't know what's happened to that $8.5 million when I gave it back.
Let me ask you something. I've pulled a petition to run District 2.
Yes.
By the way, if anybody wants to sign that petition, I got to have it in by noon tomorrow. Call me. I went back and looked at this because I wanted to make sure I have my ducks in a row when people ask me. In 2011, we had a 16.5 cent, I believe it was 16.2, 16.5 cent tax increase. 10 cents of that went to the sheriff's department. 5 cents went to construct the jail, which the jail's built now.
Yes.
So you would think commission could reallocate that or let you have it. Do you know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So we did that. And that 5 cents since 2011 has generated about $15 million because right now we run $168,000 to $200,000 a penny in the county. So you got that. And then you got, I said 10 cents, I'm sorry, 7 cents. And 2 cents was allocated for jail programs, new jail programs. And I think if you got a program, you have to keep funding that. That's something. When the roof is put on, the building's done, you're in the dry, you're fixed, you're done, construction stops.
Yeah.
What I'm going to try and find out, what I'm going to ask you, do we still have debt service on the jail? Or is it paid for?
I don't know.
Okay. That'd be a good question because if we've retired that debt service since 2011, that's, 5 times 2 is $1 million a year. 5 cents on the dollar if it's generating 200. If it's generating 168, it's close. So that's money that we ask the taxpayers for to build a jail. Or the addition to the jail, I think, which is empty. Yeah. Partially empty, but still.
Yes. So that's a great question.
I'm just saying, I'm speaking to you both in how are you using this money, and if not, research it because there might be some money there if they look at it. It's not right for us to pay 5 cents to build a jail, and they get the jail built, and they start giving it away to whomever. Yeah. I don't want to name you, but it should be for the jail. When the jail's built, stop unless they need it to run the jail or whatever, and that would be you could put it in your budget. That would help.
So and I think that what I think the listeners need to know as well is this is again been good to my administration.
Absolutely.
However, this goes back way before any of us got on scene.
I went all the way back to 94. Yeah, that's how far I went back researching.
So there's a lot of this, and so like this morning, our jail population is 334.
Yes.
Right. We have this, and we have Unit 1, which was the last thing that was built. It's a separate 120 bed addition that is detached from the main facility. It's currently in use.
Okay.
We run it's not, I guess you would say it's almost like an honors pod, right? It's our minimum security people.
Okay.
And we create some separation there, and it's one of our ways to help control contraband and things like that. And then we have a separate place we hold now 500, I want to say 64 beds. But again, like we've talked about in the past, it doesn't mean we have 560. We have 564 beds. I think that's the number. I'd have to look. But it doesn't mean that
there are 564 inmates.
Well, not just that, but say we have 100 beds that are dedicated to female inmates.
Okay.
Well, if we have 50, right? You say I have 50 beds. Yeah, but for females.
Yes.
So I get too many males, I can't stick them in there for those 50 beds.
Sure.
Same thing, we have medical beds, we have mental health portions where you have to keep them separated from general population because they're either their mental health or they have some sort of medical issue going on. So there may be, say there's 20 beds for someone who is in for basically medical needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's only one guy in there, right, those other 19 beds, I can't stick
somebody in
general population guy in there,
So there are some caveats in it where it sounds like we got 500 beds and Two of them are open. 200.
You got plenty of room.
Not necessarily true.
Yeah. So lots of times we move and shift from unit to unit to try to maximize our bed space. So now the medical unit basically stays the same because there's ventilation type stuff in there, and that helps reduce the spread of airborne disease. But as far as like maximum security and general population, we can rotate those around. And of course, our sex offenders have to be separated. Yeah.
Well, and I think I think these are the kind of things people need to hear to understand, instead of just hearing 15%, boom, tax increase. You know, I get down to the nitty gritty of it. You know, where, why, when, how.
So it's going to take. So I mean, and I understand that, and I know there's been some frustration on behalf of some of my deputies, feeling like, because we started this probably about 90 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Some frustration and feeling like, hey, they're dragging it out. Well, look, it's not an easy fix.
No.
And so I tried to explain to them. I said, listen, we're seeing some movement.
There are 88,000 people in this county that have to participate in all your goings on, and you know, it's hard to do that.
And it's one of those things that I'm confident that the appetite's there, and I'm confident that they're trying. Now, I like for them to move faster.
Well, sure.
But in the meantime, we've had some really good conversations over the last couple of weeks since the last budget meeting, and we've been working in house on some ideas that we're going to try to tweak a little bit, see if we can help move the needle some more.
Let me ask you this: who is in charge of going through your budget and deciding, you know, this money is good here, or this money we could move here, or we allocate this much to buy a vest, or this much to buy? Who's doing that for you?
It's a team approach. Okay. So the initial budget on the operations side, Captain Owens is the first one to take a look at that. Right.
And does he have like a background in finance or something to do that?
No, he's just been around a long time and touches a lot of stuff. And then Chief Allen at the jail administrator, looks at the needs from there. Now, any given year when we start right before budget season, we take a look at what the monies that we know we're sending back to the county government, because we've literally done it
every year,
right? We look at that, and the first thing you want to do is you take a look at your payroll, right? All right, so we have this, and we always finance as if we're going to be full, right? That's our, you know, if we have if we know we've got 100 deputies at the jail, we say, okay, here's 100 deputies, and to be safe, right?
Sure. And then if you don't use it, you're giving it back at the end of the year. So it's no harm, no foul.
And to be safe, you want to assume, because we have never. This is the first time ever we've went to county commission and said, hey, we need this out of budget cycle, right?
Yes.
We just make it work. And they're good about letting us do line item transfers and stuff like that as we run into these needs. But you have to start with payroll.
But payroll's non-negotiable.
Right.
You can't, you know what I mean? That's when we look at our budget, payroll's not, I can't function without people.
Yes.
And I can't, I got to pay people.
Yes.
And so payroll's non-negotiable. So once you establish that, and if the raises that they needed, that's pretty much in stone. And then you can work on other stuff, I think, to mitigate what you've had to apply for raises.
Yeah. And so like there's contracts we enter into for various things. And sometimes those contracts have an automatic increase in them. And so that's something we just started really looking hard at, right?
Yes.
Now, it doesn't, 4% on $100,000, it doesn't make or break anything. However, it's a great place to start cutting cost. And like just recently, we got rid of our vendor for the kitchen. We took our kitchen back over.
Exactly.
And we have seen a tremendous cost savings there.
You saved money, too, with the company that came in working the insurance for
Heritage.
you, too. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, you go in. Let's say it takes $10 million to run your kitchen. You save 4%. Say you've got what's 4%? $400,000 left.
Better at math than me. Yeah.
If it's right, $400,000 left. Do you get to keep that? Is that what you give back at the end of the year?
Give back.
Okay. See, I'm thinking this is the easy thing to do without a tax increase, without changing the budget. It would say, let you keep that, because if commission is using that to budget today, that's not good budgeting, because that's pretend money until you hand it to them. And what happens if you save 4% on that $10 million, but over here your cost for insurance goes up 12%? So they've budgeted, they're going to get this money back, but then again, you're going to need more over here for insurance at the end of the day. So why not let the entities, and Tim and Jeff, they all might like this idea because they generate extra money too to give back, but why not let them dip out of the bucket that they filled, out of the money they've generated for their needs?
So in addition to the monies we return, right? For example, the $8.5 million in 7 years. On top of that, in 7 years, we've generated $14.9 million in board bills
from the state.
From the state for keeping state inmates.
Now, does that wash? So that's in addition to what it costs us to keep them. That's money.
So it costs it. We are tier 2 because we went to achieve that, so the state would reimburse us at a higher rate.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not a wash, right? We still have to pay. We still pay a hair more to keep a state inmate, but we're recovering $14.9 million, right? In what we call board bill money, right? This year alone, we anticipate hitting almost $3.5 million. The state, and everybody talks about. Why don't you just send all the state inmates back, right?
Well, you make $3 million keeping them this year.
Well, we generate it now. We probably spend a hair over $3 million, right, to keep them, right?
Okay.
So, but the thing is there's other benefits, such as these crews that pick up litter, they go mow our parks, they do our laundry, our kitchen staff. Those are state inmates. I have to have someone who is sentenced before they can get it on a work crew, right? So if Ron gets arrested and charged with whatever the crime is, and Ron can't make bond, right? And he waits a year to go to trial.
Ron can't go mow either.
Because
he's not been charged.
He's not been convicted.
Convicted, yes. Charged but not convicted.
He's innocent until proven guilty. So there's if we sent all the state inmates back right now, we would need money to go contract out laundry for the inmates that are there, kitchen, our community outreach as far as some of these parks that we keep up through inmate labor. That goes away. And then that turns into an issue of where, there's a bank up there at Anderson County High School that's so steep, you have to be a mountain goat to get up it. And
we need to get them some mountain goats.
we send inmates up there with weed eaters, because it's difficult.
Yeah.
I get so it. In our soccer fields and things like that. So there's the. When you look at the overall picture, I honestly don't know if it's a wash at that point when you take the extra things that benefits of having state inmates. But for example, we did a resolution years back about the Little Ponderosa being our Anderson County Zoo, right?
Yeah.
The zoo crew.
Yeah.
Without that, the nonprofit.
You couldn't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't send nobody up there, and then I don't know what they would do.
Is it? Are you able to put pen to paper and show? Because I think what you're talking about right now is really helpful for people listening, because they just hear people asking for money all the time, and very rarely do they go through budget meetings, operation meetings, and commission meetings to get the nitty-gritty of what you're talking about right now.
Right.
So I think it's important people know what you're asking for, what you're providing, how you're generating revenue outside of just people, paying property tax. But is there a way you can sit down and say, we put in 16,000 man hours using state and whatever, and at minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, time whatever. This is what they did that we would normally have to pay H&H lawn service to do, and be able to demonstrate to people, to commission and these other folks, how you're generating revenue, how you're making money, or if you're losing a little bit on the state where it's still making us revenue. I think that would help a lot in a request to increase your funds, or for them to say, you know what, you made $14 million, you can have this part of it back without raising anything.
I don't know what happens to that money. Well, I just don't.
I'll let you know in a few months. Okay. I promise you. I promise you, I'll know every penny. We're at a crossroad from a staffing point that we have to look at everything. And maybe it's something we should have been looking at all along, but however, to your point, I think these inmate man hours are really worth tracking, because that is completely a benefit to the county and the citizens of Anderson County. And look, we get a call a week from a given nonprofit asking.
Yeah, like the last one I took.
You guys helped the fair?
Yes.
I'm sorry I didn't interrupt.
No, but the last one that I personally took. Of course, my answer is always the same. Hey, call Shane Val. He's the one that lines that up. But there was a cemetery that was basically unattended. It became an eyesore in that particular community. They had some dedicated old dudes that were trying, but it overran them,
Yeah.
And so they asked us to come there and get it beat back under control to where
they could keep it.
They keep going, and we do that all the time.
I really do believe, for one, I think you're right. I think everybody's working toward the cause. I don't think anybody's trying to fight you on it.
No.
Or nobody's looking for a reason to say no. Everybody's trying to find the way to say yes. For everybody I've spoken to, it's trying to find a way to do that. That's why I'm digging into all these little details, because I think I can either give folks the ammunition they need to make a hard decision. And with stuff like man hours and all that benefits, I think that would help a whole lot in being able to do that, and maybe even open your eyes to some of the things that you got going on underneath you that are good. That maybe we just
honestly, the idea of tracking inmate hours, that would be a valuable statistic.
There has to be,
and not just from me as the sheriff, but in general.
Well, yeah.
Because that's not something that you and look. So, like at the jail, not only do we have outdoor workers, but we literally have we have a full laundromat right now. It's not massive, right? It's 6 washers, 6 dryers, but they're industrial, right? But there's always a crew of about 3 or 4 back there. That's all they do is wash laundry and fold, right? And it runs 24/7.
Well, that's got to have a value.
Absolutely. We have what we call pod workers, right? They're basically what the Marine Corps boot camp would call house mouse, right?
Yep.
Their job is when everybody's locked down, they get the brooms out and start sweeping, right?
Yeah.
So there's custodial duties.
Sure.
And like during the day, we have pod workers. You see them; they're dressed in yellow. They run up down the hall and they're emptying trash cans and mopping and sweeping and keeping the place up.
Let me ask you this.
By the way, we passed our state inspection yesterday.
That's good news.
First go around.
That's always good news. Are there places, and you may not know this, but I'm sure you're going to get this question, but are there places that you feel like you could cut in your budget to take some of that money to put into salaries and payroll? Are there things, whether it be your equipment schedule to upgrade. I mean, I don't think we ought to put somebody in a car with 500,000 miles on it, but at the same time, the difference between 60,000 miles and 100,000 miles may not be. We might could live with that to get a raise.
Yes, we are looking at that.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, we just put together, it just finalized yesterday, basically a option, right?
Okay.
And what we're doing is, and this is what I did in 22. We're inviting. We're starting with the budget committee because it has to get out of budget for its full commission. But we start with the budget committee. I've invited them to come sit down with us to hear this and see how it could fit into solving this salary increase, right?
Sure.
And I don't want to speak about it on the air because we want a
non-biased look.
Yeah, we want a clean. Hey, this is what we got, and let them think. And I don't even know if they're going to be able to. They probably are going to walk away and process it. Yeah, digest what we've said. But I don't want to pollute the thing. But yeah, and as a matter of fact, three of the people off the budget committee have already made appointments
to come in, sit down, go. I think that's.
I sent it out yesterday.
I think that's a great idea, and you get different eyes, different thoughts on the same thing, and they come up with different ideas.
It is literally what happened in 22 when we asked for the salary increase and the step changes. We put it together, and we reached out. At that time, we did it a little different. We offered it to all commissioners, right, and said, if you are willing to take the time, we will have our table full of people who've worked on this budget, and we want to show you what we want to do, why we want to do it, and we're open to any questions you have, because and it was very successful. It passed 15-1.
Because they made a point to educate themselves and look at the details and know it rather than just being told it. They saw it and learned it themselves.
And that's communication's the key to everything. And honestly, communication is, in my opinion, every organization's Achilles heel.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you think you're getting all the information out there, but you never can truly know how they're processing what you're saying.
Is there an organization, maybe statewide or whatever, where outside eyes you can solicit help to come in and say, here's our budget as we see it. Can you take a look at this based on other stuff in the state or whatever and see if we're spending more here than this guy is? And if so, how we can lower this, or we're not spending enough here? Is there some agency or organization?
CTASC and MTASC they're through the University of Tennessee. They're a state entity.
Are they detail oriented, or do they just?
Yeah. So they will come in and they will do about anything you ask. Honestly, like the most recent thing that we've ever used them for, as far as from all those, they offer a ton of services, and it's not just for sheriff's offices; it's county government, right?
Yes.
Like they did a few years ago, they did a staffing analysis for us for the jail.
Okay.
Because we wanted, because that's another thing too, because we've done a really good job of trying to keep up with technology on top of everything else, because sometimes technology can reduce humans.
Yeah.
What you need there,
sure.
Right? Or make you more efficient. You can run a little leaner if you have the technology there. But now it can also be a problem too.
I understand.
But so they did like a staffing analysis for us, right? But yeah, there's all, they offer that for, unit fee offices, everybody.
Well, there have to be, in 95 counties, there has to be other sheriff departments that are going through very similar to what 100%. You're going through. And it just would seem like it would be a very positive thing if the state had CTES or whatever that could really almost a forensic audit of a budget line by line by line by line by line and say, hey, Sheriff, here's this. There's no telling. They might, like I said, there's no telling what they'd find. And I think it would go a long, long, long way if outside eyes made a recommendation, said, you need this and this and this. And it's not necessarily you.
Right.
But it's an outside opinion, and I think it takes away politics. It takes away a whole lot of tomfoolery that goes on, or that people perceive goes on.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I'm just thinking out of the outside the box, because when there's a need, now this is not a want, this is a need.
Yes.
Wants new cars every 20,000 miles.
Right.
Need is people trained that we can keep, that we don't send to the academy and leave in 8 months to a year or what have you,
right,
to get $4 more an hour, $2 more an hour, whatever it is. So this is a need that I promise you, folks listening to me, you get a ticket, you're going to be mad at the police. But I tell you, if you are ever in need, there is no better sign, no better feeling seeing those blue lights roll up in the driveway or up to your whatever's happened that help. And when they get out, if you're the person that's hurt or they are there to, you don't see them. They pull you over. You're like, arr. When you're hurt, you see it as, oh, thank you. And so it's something that if you mess up or we're not able to provide your constituents, your people, we suffer if you can't get someone to us when we need it. And I pray people don't ever experience the good or the bad of it.
Right.
Because I don't want them to ever have to call you. But if they do, if we drop the ball because of staffing or miscommunication, whatever.
Yeah.
They're the ramifications. I mean, we just had it with EMS. A man died. So you don't want a miscommunication or something like that to happen where somebody's in a position to where we can't respond. We need to be able to, and we need to have people to do that. People first, maybe equipment second. You might have to drive an old car to get there, but get them there and get a trained person there. I just think if you had somebody come in and look at all that, you could be able to say, here's what happens if we don't. Here's what happens if we do, if we can or can't fund it. I don't know, just as thinking if I was in charge of spending people's tax dollars, I would like to see that and be able to say there's more than the sheriff saying we need this money.
Right.
And let me ask you this: you're talking about deputies too, but this includes your jail staff too, right? Yeah, because I love deputies, but I think your jail staff works as harder than deputies.
Yeah, I've caught a little heat over that, but it's
people that think they don't. Their job's not as hard.
It's less than. Yeah,
well, they've never been in there and been spit on, have they?
No, it
or
is.
Cursed at, or.
So at the end of the day, they're both very important, operations and corrections.
Absolutely.
But it is a little bit of a different beast down there. But the deputy on the side of the road that's dealing with someone who is less than cooperative, right? Once they're arrested and put in jail, those folks are dealing with 12
they're
hours.
Still less than cooperative.
Yeah.
For the whole time they're there.
Well, I would argue that they're even, if they're uncooperative, they're even more uncooperative in corrections. And let me explain why. If you're having negative contact with law enforcement on the street, you at least try to give the perception of cooperation, because your goal is, I don't want to go to jail.
Sure.
And at some point, if you determine, and this doesn't happen
that you're
every
going
time,
anyway.
Yeah, it is determined, but we have this happen frequently, but not every interaction. You just, at some point, fight or flight kicks in, right?
Yes.
You decide, I'm going to jail. I'm either going to fight this deputy or I'm going to run, right?
Yes.
More times than not, they run because they don't want to go to jail. They know a fight ends in them going to jail.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, once they're in jail, now the worst things happen. They're
now
incarcerated.
They can fight all they want.
And they'll fight my corrections staff, drop of a hat.
No, I think your jail staff, again, I couldn't do any of the jobs that you offer. I don't have the temperament for it.
The jail staff parity in pay has made a huge difference in not just the quality of applicants, but in our retention. We still have a certain amount of washout at the jail because it is the hardest job we have. And then on top of that, it's just a different beast. It's a little city of 300 to 400 people in any given day, and nobody's happy.
No, I mean, nobody signed up and made reservations to be there.
Yeah, and it's I joke about it being our little Airbnb on the majestic Clinch River, right? Our Google reviews say we're a 1-star, but the state says we're much better than that. But it's still jail, and you have to manage your jail population, right? You can crank down and make everybody miserable.
Yeah,
but that causes problems. So you have to balance punishment versus rehabilitation, and you have to hold them accountable for their actions while they're incarcerated, but you also have to give them a pathway to try to make a difference, because the truth of it is we don't want them back. And they're not leaving Anderson County when they get out. They're moving right back in with Granny or back to wherever they come from, and they're still our neighbors. So why would we not invest a little bit in trying to show them a different way?
Absolutely.
Now, mental health, that's a difficult thing to balance. We've at any given time, we've probably got 10 people that I personally believe need to be in a facility, not jail.
We don't have a facility, do we?
No.
Not. Is there Memphis or what? Chattanooga?
We have Moccasin Bend, and sometimes you can get them over to Peninsula, depending on what it is.
Well, there's something that the state needs to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before.
Yes.
The state, it made sense, and at the time, I guess I really wasn't following it because I was chasing weed eaters and bad checks at Clinton, right? But the closure of Lakeshore and facilities such as that, it's now I think that's part of your homeless population, right? I mean, a good portion of it. And when you're dealing with the mentally ill, there's always an A&D issue, drug and alcohol issue, because lots of times they self-medicate with either drugs or alcohol. And it's
a compounding problem. Yeah. One creates the other, creates the other, creates the other.
Yeah, and as law enforcement, we don't know what come first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so is it a drug addict that's become mentally ill, or is it somebody mentally ill that's become a drug addict?
Yes.
Or an alcoholic, whatever the case is.
And then you guys are tasked with identifying, dealing with that, and Band-Aid treating it while they're there. I say Band-Aid treating it because you're not psychiatrists, psychologists, or whatever, so you just deal with it as you can, right?
So we have a full-time psychiatric nurse.
Okay.
40 hours a week.
That helps.
We got that in our latest contract we negotiated with our healthcare facility. It's huge. And because we've got someone who, one, understands it, right? And two, it's of course we partner with Ridgeview, always have, right? But our mental health nurse speaks that language when they're talking to Ridgeview or Moccasin Bend. It's not my deputy.
Yes.
Saying, hey, this guy's,
Fruit Loops
smearing feces on the windows and we can't get him quit.
It's her identifying.
They're like, oh, he's got, he's bipolar, he's schizophrenic,
What is the dollar amount? I know we've talked 15 cents or 15%, whatever. I don't know, but is there a dollar amount? 6 million, 1 million, 10 million, what that you need annually more than you get to make your payroll be what it should be?
To get it, so there's been a lot of numbers bounced around, and I've heard.
Give me perfect world numbers.
Conflicting numbers. I believe to get us to the 15%, I think we're in the neighborhood of 1.6 million, right? I've heard 2 million, right? Robbie said in a budget meeting.
That's per year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's to maintain, not. That's just in addition. That's not counting when the market adjusts year to year, right?
That's today.
Today
to get us level.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow we may or may not be level.
Yeah. And so, like, for example, I've heard $2 million, right, annually, but that's what I'm saying. As the government, we have to really take a hard look. And some of the things you've brought up today are part of it, in the sense that it's always going to be changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you want to see law enforcement salaries and this market-driven and costs for deputies, if you want to see that playing out, let the plant stop hiring security. And then you're going to have a market flooded with guys ready to get back to law enforcement. Yeah. And so you could choose whoever, right? I mean, like, you'd have
pick of the part.
They'd all
cream of the crop.
A lot of them would come back to law enforcement if there were no guards down there. If there were no guard positions, or if they reduced dramatically.
What's the average salary of our deputy right now?
You have to do the math. It's $22.83 an hour is what we start someone out at. And if you have some experience, we can get you a little higher up on the steps.
What's it top out at? Any idea?
No, because nobody sticks around long enough. I mean, so it's not something I've really.
What's the highest paid hourly that you know about? That you.
Our lieutenants are probably, and that's getting not a captain and chiefs, but our lieutenants are in the neighborhood of 30, maybe a little over.
Okay.
And when I say lieutenants, there's 5.
And this is market driven, based 100%. On what everybody else is doing. This is not.
Yeah. So I've got
same thing with captains and everybody else. Everything market driven.
So I have a friend who is a lieutenant at Oak Ridge Police Department. Right. And we work narcotics together.
Okay.
Right. And I was kidding him about him running for sheriff in the county he's in, or I said, maybe I need to hire you one day when my command staff starts retiring or whatever. And he said, I don't think you can afford me. And I started laughing. I mean, he's a lieutenant and knocking down $90,000 at Oak Ridge.
Ours are making $62,400.
Yeah. I mean, so
I just figured it out.
So he's making more than my chief deputy. My number 2. Callaway don't make $90,000. Zach Allen don't make $90,000. He runs the jail.
Okay.
He's got 80 something employees, 400 inmates. The bulk of our budget goes to the jail. I mean, so it's a lot. I mean, and again, I'm not belly aching at all. But it's just, if we're going to keep good people, we have to ensure that we're compensating them as best we can.
Well, as a county, and a government, our safety, that's paramount. And you, EMS, fire, that's our safety. So that's what tax dollars are. That should be first and foremost. It shouldn't be for building buildings and everything else. It should be for the safety. And you've got to have trained, warm bodies to go out and exact that, to carry out those things. Let me ask you this. Is there an agency, and if there's not, I might have just come up with a new business idea, but is there somewhere out there you could go, you bring somebody in and you say, we need to find $2 million a year. Here's our budget, here's our operation. Can you find a way to find us $2 million inside of our budget, or even the county's budget,
Right.
And then pay them a commission on how much they find waste.
I'm sure there is, but
yeah, that's $200,000 at 10% commission. If I come in and can find you $2 million, that's a good day's work.
Yeah.
Seriously, why is there not something? You would think, because I don't believe anybody expects our law enforcement officers to be able to sit down and forensically figure out every single cent and penny. You guys are busy taking bad guys off the streets. But if somebody came in, fresh eyes, like you've offered with budget and the other people, fresh eyes, and could go through it and say, I believe you could save $1,500 here a month, or I believe you could save boo, 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 and go through, and everything that you agree to and it works out, they get a percentage of for 2 years, however long.
Yeah.
You might be able to have somebody come in there and
so lots of time, and I'm sure there's businesses like that, because you see where county government and probably city government, municipalities as well, they do these studies, right? So I know 911 just did one for dispatch, and they came out with some recommendations. There was a fire study not long ago.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's out there. But I don't know of any that are commission based.
Well, that gives you an incentive to work hard.
Pay us $50,000, we'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah. But if it's bad news, you ain't got nowhere to cut. And I'm gonna tell you something. And I don't know. I'm running for office. I probably shouldn't say stuff like this. But there's waste in government.
100%.
Period.
100%.
There's waste in government. There's waste in government that guys like me can't afford to have waste. And so I feel like that if we tightened our belt in the county, and I'm not saying where the waste is or nothing. I'm assuming, maybe I shouldn't, that Anderson County is like most governments, and there's money that flows back and forth that has done it forever. So that's why we do it. That we could probably change. And when we're at a crossroads, and you've used those words, we're kind of at a crossroads. When we're at a crossroads, I think that it deserves all the attention we can give it. Every penny, every allocation, every good old boy that's on wherever and whatever, we need to look at everything we're doing, because is it worth continuing to do this program over here for, I'm going to say, Stephanie, get mad, tourism, whatever, anybody. Yeah. Is it worth continuing that and sacrificing this? And Stephanie, I'm not talking about your budget. I'm just using that as an example. But if we went through it, it seems like before we do anything, we ought to do that and see if we've got money laying around, floating around, using that we could reallocate, whether it's money you generate, whether it's money.
We literally do that every single year within our own budget at the sheriff's office.
Who does that, though?
Well, what we do, okay, for example, as part of what I will share with you is we have done a fabulous job, and honestly, I don't know how. With the recent losses that we've had in staff. But we have done a really good job on the operations side managing our overtime budget, right? Like we have a surplus that I don't think we're going to be able to spend between now and the new fiscal year.
That's
right?
Fantastic.
Because they've really clamped down on that. And
need to buy some advertising with that.
I mean, so there was so we do that, and so the day-to-day, so we meet and discuss our budget and where we're at periodically, right?
Yes.
Just to stay on top of it, and it's not something that as the sheriff I don't sit around and look at the computer and say, all right, what's in this line item, and all right, I see where we've spent another $10. I don't do that. But we do visit our budget frequently to discuss and anticipate needs, right? Like, for example, our budget for dispatch, man, it's always in the red for most of the year, and then it catches up as we get payments from Rocky Top, Norris, EMS kicks in some money. So we're having to always watch that and figure out where that's at. And sometimes we have to go from budget and or commission to do transfers.
But when you say we, who does that?
Steve Owens, Kenny Sharp, Brian Galloway, and myself.
Okay.
Zach Allen.
And I hope I don't make anybody upset, but I don't think you'd hand me a car, a gun, and a badge today to go out here and be a deputy. So are we asking deputies to come in and be financial experts on how many multi-million-dollar budget?
Yes.
Okay.
To a degree, we are.
Well, why don't we get them some help? Some people that do that for a living. If county commission would allocate just a little bit of money to get somebody to come in with you? I'm not saying they're doing a bad job. Please don't. I hope I'm not offending you.
You're not at all.
But it seems like that would be a really good place to just start. Give them. You've already invited people to come in and do it. You're already saying, hey, help. Come on, look at it, budget committee. Why not get somebody, and I don't know, maybe somebody on our budget committee has a financial background.
So to your point, if you'll remember in 2018 when we first took office, we created a spot that we hired Tyler Mays for, and Tyler Mays worked our budget and managed that a lot, right? But as our needs have grown, Tyler moved on to other opportunities. We phased that out to reallocate that position to cover other more pressing needs, because we felt like we had Tyler's with CTAS now, right? He's doing the very thing that we just talked about, but we might need another detective, so we allocated that employee slot. We moved it from an administrative thing to a detective, right? And I'm not saying that's what we did with Tyler's spot, but that's what we did because we felt like the reins on the budget and our processes that we had in place were in good shape.
I just, whether it be Tyler, whether it be a deputy, whether it be anybody, somebody that is versed, that has a background of proven financial success, financial allocation, that could come in and help. It would I think carry a lot of weight going forward with your needs. So I mean, I'm the type of person, I want to say yes. I'll get you your money. This is how I operate. When people come to me and they say, Jasper, we need new tires on the car, I say, all right, call Goodyear, call whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. The first answer is yes. And then the next answer is we got to figure out where to come up with $900 now. So then we go to work to do that. And then we can't find the $900 and we go buy tires. I don't start off by saying, no, we're not going to get any tires. We can't afford it. And so I would think if you have somebody that's their forte, that's what they do in life, they might find it. They might be able. I'll do it for a commission.
Yeah.
If I don't find anything, I don't make anything. But not to say that I could do it, but I don't want our emergency services, our sheriff's department, even our volunteer fire departments struggling if we can find a way that they don't have to. And I'm almost positive. I haven't got to see it. I've not been privileged to see it. I've not talked to anybody on budget. I'm just going off status quo. I'm almost positive there's money that we could reallocate.
Yeah, I think so too. And listen, to your point, and we're working on it. We're looking at our own budget.
Good.
To see what we can do, and we knew that. I mean, and listen, nobody's asked us to do that. We've just done it, right? Because we know we have to look inward, and because that's really where you start.
Well, plus, when you come and ask for money, people are going to ask very similar questions to me, I hope. What are you doing with this money? What are you doing with this money? What are you doing with this money? Not because they think you're doing anything wrong with it, but to make an educated decision on where to find, how to find what you need.
Yeah, it's not offensive that someone asks us that. I mean, it's reasonable.
Well, it's offensive to some. I've questioned budgets before with departments, and people get offensive. They're like, we can handle our own budget, and maybe they can. Well, good, because
listen, we'll explain it, and you either agree or don't agree. It's that simple.
Well, I sincerely hope that our budget committee, our finance committee, our whomever committee, commissions, whatever, can find a way to get you what you need without it being 100% brand new money on the taxpayer.
I agree.
100%. It might be some percent, or it might be none. It might be some. I don't know, but I'm positive it doesn't have to be all.
So I just believe I can tell you this, when my household budget goes up, right, and we need more money, I don't instantly say I need to find a different job to increase my pay.
Exactly.
I look at how I'm spending my money.
You adjust your household.
Yeah, I look at how, if it costs more, then it costs more, and I have to.
Well, just so you know, to give you a place to start looking, there's $5,378,214 in the industrial land purchase fund that's never been purchased. So that gives you 2.5 years right there.
Ron, don't get me in trouble.
I'm not getting you in trouble. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I'm giving you a preview of what's going to happen if they put me in office. This is what's going to happen. There's $5,376,000 some odd dollars that I paid to Anderson County to buy industrial property. That's 2 cents for the last 16 years, based on what it brings in. Where's that money? Chromebooks? Well, okay. Wherever it is right now, we have a need for it. I'd like to round it back up. So there you go. There's your place to go fishing for a little bit of it right now. And like I say, I love Jerry Shattuck. There's nobody on God's earth I respect any more than I respect Jerry Shattuck, and he's big on the industrial. He and I might have a little disagreement on spending that money before we find the land, but I would rather, just like I was just telling you, you tighten your belt. We might not be able to buy the land. We might need to have deputies protect the land we got right now before we go buy new land.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, look, I think we're going to get there.
Good.
I'm excited about it. It's definitely not moving at the pace I wanted or needed it to, but I'm comfortable with the fact that we have people who are like I said, the support's there.
Their objective is to find it as opposed to deflate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's,
yeah, that's
good.
it. So I think we're going to get there. So,
well, I hope you do sooner rather than later.
I'm going to change gears on you real fast.
I'm done talking about money anyway.
Yeah, it's giving me a headache.
It's giving me a headache, too.
So, from a crime standpoint, I think, and we're at a real dilemma here on how to get this out, and I don't know. The Sheriff's Association has been talking with Equifax and the Sheriff's app, and it talks about some of the things we can do to maybe be a little more proactive on this. But there is we're starting to see an uptick in scams.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the same ones: ankle monitor, bail, you missed court, you missed jury duty, you had to pay a fine, and we put that on social media, we push it out on our app, and unfortunately they seem to really be targeting the elderly, who are probably not as sophisticated, from a technology standpoint, and to our astonishment, we just recently got a report, like in the yesterday. Something's popped back up: romance scams.
What is a romance?
We haven't seen those in a while. Where someone reaches out via social media and says, "Oh, I saw your profile. I found you interesting. Can we be friends?" And you accept the friend request. and then they either get with you via email or direct messenger, and they indicate that they have some sort of interest in you. They work you for a while, and then they start asking you to send gift cards or cash through some app, and you lose your money. But it's and they always have a story, It used to be, I'm a American citizen, I'm overseas, I'm an engineer working on a project in Cairo, and the government's froze my money. Can you send me $1,000? I'll pay you back as soon as blah, blah, blah.
But it bases on being your buddy, your friend, and then you got to borrow money.
Yeah, and then, fortunately, there's another darker side to these romance scams, and we've not seen them in a while. Yesterday was the first one we've heard about in a long time, or been reported to us. They will, before they ask for money, they will send explicit pictures of that they say is of themselves, but it's something they most likely pulled offline, or something they've got from another scam they ran, and they will ask you for pictures in return, right?
And then blackmail you with
yes. And then they will ask you for money. You send it, and then you wake up to the fact that this person probably isn't real. And then when you shut down that, they start saying, okay, I have your nudes, and I have your friends list. I will send them to everybody unless you pay this amount. And it never stops. Like if they say it's $1,000, in another week, it's going to be another $1,500. They just keep going till there's no money left. And I saw a national story on that. A kid killed himself because of that. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something even more horrifying. And I honestly do not know how this happens, but we have had reports historically where they take over your social media somehow. And I would imagine you have to give them your password at some point. I don't know. But it sometimes you'll see people say, hey, my Facebook's been hacked. Yeah. Well, generally when you see that, it's not been hacked. It's been cloned. Yes. Right? Yeah. But there are instances where they've taken over, literally taken over your account. You can't get back into your account. When you go to change your password, they say, we're sending your link to reset your password. They'll send it to a phone number that's not yours. Yes. And you only get a portion of the phone number. And then what scares me to death as Russell Barker, not as sheriff, but I think I've spoke about this, AI and these deep fakes that are coming. Abby Ham just went through it at Channel 10. She just went through it's terrible. Yes. Last year I watched a lady out of Nashville who was a meteorologist. Went through the same thing. Yes. And she testified in the criminal justice subcommittee. They just didn't our Congress, or at least the president, propose just this week a law about that? Yeah. You cannot use AI to, I can't remember what the words were, but it had to do with both things you're talking about, using intimate photographs as get back at somebody or to steal AI, use somebody's likeness and then to do the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's horrifying. Yeah, it's horrifying. Crazy, especially if you're in the public eye because you're targeted. Oh, 100%. But like I've seen, like my kid pointed out to me, I watched this really cool video and I shared it with her because I thought it was awesome. And in this, there was these 2 rows of people sitting in chairs, and they were at an animal shelter, and they turned a dog loose, and the dog picked its owner, right? is what the video was. So the dog ran up and down, and whoever stopped that, because it was a group of people who all wanted the same dog, and the dog got to go down, and whoever he stopped at, and it was the most heartwarming thing you've ever seen. And I said, how cool is this? And my kid goes, Dad, that's AI. I go, how do you know? And she starts telling me what to look for, and I'm just like, what? Because it looks so real. Oh yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, and I was heartbroken because I thought, how cool. Well, you know what else it does? It causes you to kind of lose faith in the stuff going on around you that's real. Yeah. It will disintegrate a lot of, I think, the foundation of what people think or don't think. You don't know what's real and what's not real. Sure. And you know what happens? Then you just shut down. You just, there's nothing positive ever comes out of any of that. So hopefully we'll get our arms around AI. I believe, in all honesty, it's going to grow faster than we can. Oh, it is, yeah. So it's just going to be one of those things we're just going to have to hunker down and be vigilant. So to your listeners, and I want them to tell 10 friends, okay? Yes. If you're ever contacted about you've missed court, ankle monitor, bail money for someone, disregard that and hang up and call us directly. Yeah. call a verified known line, right?
Yes.
And talk to us, because we're not going to do that.
What are we doing as a city, county, state, country to catch some of these people? Because the majority of them are out of the country, certainly out of our state. I remember a number of years ago, a friend of mine had a family member who got scammed. It was his parents, and they kept giving money, and finally they were able to get it under control and convinced the family member that it was a scam, and went to the police, and the police did what they could. It was Clinton City. You might have still been at the city. It's been quite a while ago, but the city tried to figure it out, found it was coming from Canada, but that was about as far as they could get with it. So is there new technologies coming about that you know about that we can implement to stop or catch it?
No, not that I'm aware of. You run into a lot of dead ends where, so another one that the state has taken up. There's a big hit for Bitcoin. Right now, we had a case here in Anderson County where a lady thought she missed federal grand jury, and her fine was $12,000. She deposited $12,000 into Bitcoin machines, and then realized at the 11th hour, this can't be real, because they sent her to 4 different.
Is that the one you went and got the machines?
Yes.
You just took the physical machines.
Yeah, we unplugged them. We unplugged them and wrapped them in crime scene tape.
Yeah.
We were able to recover a quarter of our money because it was gone.
Holy cow.
And it was just so. All right. So the store rents that one small space to the people who own the Bitcoin machine. Who own that machine, as transactions are put in, they take commission off of the monies that are brought in, and then that money is purchased Bitcoin. It goes to your scammer, right?
Yes.
The company who owned that machine returned their commission to us to give to that lady.
Gotcha.
And they said the money that the scammer got, we can't even tell you who it is. We don't know. It's gone. And kind of like, you remember the old scam of you open your mailbox and
chain letter?
No, you've got a check here, and they say deposit that and send me back 300 and keep the other 1,000, and you send them 300, and
the check bounces.
Yeah, because it's a fake check.
Yeah.
And now you're out full amount. Yeah. So it has that feel to it for me, but they're taking that on because. The only case I'm aware of that there was a West Tennessee that they were getting hammered on the Bitcoin scam, and they were able to determine that it was a group out of Georgia, which was new in the sense that it wasn't out of country, right?
Yes.
But it never ended in prosecution, I can tell you that.
It's almost impossible to track it down.
It really is. I mean, look, guys, if whatever the deal is, ignore it. Go find somebody you know personally.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Just don't do it, and then call the sheriff. You know, call the sheriff's department and say, "You guys looking for me because I didn't show up for court?"
Yeah, we would. Plus, I'm gonna tell you, we never call you. They tell you we're coming.
Yeah, you're not going to, hey, get ready.
Right? Hey, you got a bench warrant because you didn't show up. We're not going to tell you. We're just going to find you.
Yeah.
And we're sure not going to say, well, here's your fine. I mean, because the only money we as a sheriff's office take in is if you come to get a copy of a report.
Okay.
You know, like you show up at the window and we say $250 or whatever the dollar amount is.
Okay.
That's all the money we collect at the window. You ain't never going to pay you're going to go see Rex.
Yes.
To pay fines. Sure. Not us.
Well, that's very good information. I hope people, like you said, if you're hearing that, spread it to 10 people and ask them to spread it to 10 people because, gosh, I couldn't imagine losing $12,000.
Oh, I would. Yeah.
That's a big chunk of money. I don't care who you
She was
are.
retired. It was heartbreaking.
I know of a case where over $90,000 was lost. Yeah. I mean, it's not people that necessarily have $90,000 to lose.
Absolutely.
So, anything else going on you want the folks out in Anderson County to know? I think we've solved every problem in the world.
I think we killed it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope that people listening understand a little bit more, because all they hear is we want more money and then tax increase. Those are, I hope they understand there's a whole lot of layers to this onion to get through. And there are more ways, commissioners, than just a tax increase to do it. But you got to buckle down, and it's more than one day a month to do it. You got to you really got to find it. Yeah, it is hard work, and they don't make any money. I don't even know what $800.
Yeah,
$500. I don't even know. Yeah. But that said, it's I don't ever get on here and talk about we need to give somebody money in the government. I really don't. I can't. Maybe I have, and people will correct me, but I'm just coming from a standpoint of I have had I've used the sheriff's department. I've needed the sheriff's department, the Clinton Police Department. I've had in my life had to use EMS and Clinton First Responder. And when I talk about that stuff, I literally am talking to you from my experience. I'm not talking to you from, and you've helped me with you, and so I say we need to be safe. Period.
I think that's the foundation of any community.
Well, and you said something that stuck with me forever. That you're paid to go out and do violence on our behalf to keep us from having to go do it, or incurring it. Yeah. And so I want people, and I'm not advocating for a tax increase by any stretch of the imagination. If anybody's listened to me today, you've heard that forensic budget cycle and looking at everything, but I believe in all my heart the money's there somewhere, or at least part of it right now, today, if we'd buckle down. And I'm debating on whether I'm going to say what I'm thinking right now, but
I'd pause.
I'm pausing.
Yeah.
I'm done pausing. Here we go. I think that anybody that handles our money ought to have a background in handling our money. In every department, at the county, I don't think that I have a background to handle the money for the county, that much money, or your department. I don't. And I was just joking when I said I'd come and do it, because I couldn't go. How many line are there in your budget? 2,000?
Yeah, 13. Yeah.
So, I mean, there are people that have studied this and been to school and done it all their lives. And I don't know, we get the best of the best to protect us. I want the best of the best to spend our money too. I'm not saying we don't have it. Right. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying when the rubber hits the road and we're going back to the Anderson County taxpayer, I want to make sure that we have dotted every I, crossed every T, turned over every rock, stone, everything there is, to make sure that we're using the money that we're already collecting 100% as best it can be used without question.
And that's not unreasonable, and I agree 100%.
And I've screamed that forever, not just today.
Yeah. And we do the absolute. I think we do a fantastic job outside of having a expert.
Yeah, well, I'm not criticizing.
No, I don't take it that way. But I feel like I need to say that, because I'm very satisfied with the. I think we do an exceptional job. I think when you see that we returned $8.5 million over 7 years,
how can that be a bad job?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I think it shows that we take it serious.
Well, I think it shows you take it serious, too, by inviting other people to come in and look at it, whether budget or commissioners or whatever. You say, take this, look at it. You see something I haven't seen, tell me.
Yeah, and there's other things, like we pursue grants constantly.
Good.
Because that's already Anderson County tax money that we've sent to the feds of the state. Bring it back here.
Yes.
And that's less money that the taxpayers have to deal with. So I'm confident in that, and what you're saying is not unreasonable at all. And plus, look, the one thing I will say about my time as sheriff, I always feel like I'm an agent of change. I really do. I've never liked. Why do we do it that way? Because we've always done it that way.
Oh.
It just kills me, right? And I can bring staff up here who will tell you, particularly our people at the jail, we have tried every scheduling. I mean, like, I've drove them insane. 8 hours, 10 hours, 12-hour shifts, fixed shifts, rotating shifts. I mean, anything we can to make personnel we have at that moment work and to maximize our coverage. Like, I will drive you absolutely insane. And one of the things too that it was a real adjustment from Paul's days is like I look, if I get it wrong, I own it. I don't care. Yeah. I mean, hey, that ain't working. Well, let's try something else. You know, I mean, and I can definitely see the frustration from particularly my command staff, because I'm open to whatever, and I am still open on this, right?
Yeah.
I don't care how we get there as long as we get there, right?
I think that's reasonable. Let me ask you this, though, just real quick. Why did it come on all of a sudden? Was it based on what other people started doing, or is it something that has built up over the years and just got to you're full and we got to do something?
So in 22, we met with commissioners who wanted to, and we talked about we need this new pay scale, we need this raises, and those raises in 22 equated to an average of 13%, right?
Yes.
And we reduced the steps. And we created merit pay and longevity pay, trying to offset where the raise wasn't going to catch up with some of these people. But it put us middle of the pack. But we thought merit pay and longevity pay would be extras that would keep people. Hey, I have opportunity to get a merit raise from good work, and 2, I get rewarded for staying with a longevity pay.
Yeah.
So we met with them and we did that, and then again, it puts us in the middle of the pack. Within the very next budget cycle, we saw everybody around us: Roane County, Knox, all these people that we touch, Blunt, Loudon, all these people that we're really in competition with. We start seeing them pull ahead for whatever reason, because they're getting, 8%, 10%, whatever it is, right? But we maintained. We were good, right? We felt good. Well, then you start seeing these astronomical numbers that the state's given troopers, TDOC. You could. There was a time where TDOC, you could get $5 to $10 grand signing bonus for leaving a county jail to go work corrections at a state prison. And at that time, it paid $55,000. They advertised $55,000, $10,000 signing bonus. Right?
Wow.
And we, at that time, we were paying 36, And so as that, and again, you can't compete with the state. And we know that.
Well, if somebody left you for 10% today, they're making $30 and they get a 10% raise. That's $3 extra an hour. That's $6,240 a year. That's not a whole. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we had an SRO, and we don't usually lose our SROs, right? But we had one leave us. He leaves Anderson County High School and goes to work for the city of Oak Ridge to be an SRO at Oak Ridge High School.
Okay.
So it's the exact same job, different school system. And he and I talked, and he was saying, I hate to leave, and all this. But, and I asked him, I said, can you tell me what the money difference is? And he said, 10 grand.
So, wow.
10 grand a year.
That was way more than 10%.
Yeah, 10 grand a year, exact same job.
What was that, about a 20-30% increase on his part?
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I mean, so he was probably knocking down almost 50. So he's now at 60.
See, that's not life-changing money, but certainly vacation-changing money.
Well, and then there's the added benefits of stuff like I'm sure their health insurance is different than ours, and he has a family, and I haven't, and you know, we didn't even get into that. I was just curious about the dollar amount. Right.
Yeah.
Great guy. And you know, and I understood that.
Well, sure.
Plus, he lives in Oak Ridge, so his commute was even shorter.
Well, and you're going to have folks that move no matter what the pay is and the salary is, but just to keep us competitive. And again, I say this again, I'll say it as many times as I'm on here talking about this. I never want you to need it, but if you ever do, David Queener was on here talking about if he ever gets sick, he wants the best Anderson County Ambulance Service to come and get him, and you will too if you need a police officer or an ambulance or a fireman. Or, you want them to be the best that you can. Hopefully.
So
we can do it. We can do it.
I'm gonna close on this.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you guys, the citizens of Anderson County have some truly dedicated deputies that you may never interact with, but I'm telling you, we got some really, really solid people who have the opportunity to leave for more money, but they choose to be here, and that's that's honorable and priceless, honestly.
Absolutely.
So.
And I hope that you're able, and County Commission is able, to find a way to reward those folks for that and get them up to the standard that everybody else is adhering to right now. Sheriff Barker, thank you. I love sitting down talking to you. We blow through 2 hours like nothing, don't we? We can get through it quickly. We'll go ahead and call it a day. On anything else?
I don't think so.
You done? All right. We've solved the world's problems.
We wore it out as usual.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? This time I think folks listening will come away with more information than they had before, so that they can speak to their representation, their commissioners or whatever, voice their opinion on whether they, if they want to see this go forward, how they want to see it go forward. So the whole idea is to make sure that people are that we just educate people to what's going on and give constituents an opportunity to weigh in and talk about what they want. And
absolutely.
Do that. Thanks, Russell. I appreciate you always. Have a great day, folks.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and